Welcome, everybody, to Dope Synergies. I am Gladia Castro.
And Stephanie Gutierrez.
We're so excited to have you guys join our first episode. This is quite monumental. Given that it's our first episode, we wanted to, kind of lay it easy on you guys, introduce ourselves. Who are we? Why are we doing this? Why did we start? There's so many podcasts going on right now. Why create another one? Because we both have a separate podcast as well. So we're going to uncover that a little bit. But just join us, sit, chill, chat, and enjoy the show.
That's right. So as Gladia mentioned, we want this to be a very relaxed setting, a very dope podcast, right?
Yeah.
Hence the word dope synergies. And on this episode, we're really going to talk about how the idea came about having another podcast. As Gladia mentioned, we have our own separate podcasts, which are very business oriented. With this one is also going to be that, but we're going to add a different component to it, which
almost
is
a personal component.
Very personal. Yeah. So the purpose of this episode is to kick off with good energies, set the intention for the rest of the episodes, kind of let you guys know what to expect with the next upcoming episodes. And we can start it off as to why this started, right? Or how it came about.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I started a podcast 2 years ago now with my business partner, or over 2 years now. And I think I've always been captivated by sharing my story, but I'm kind of like many people, I'm very surface level in some aspects, very serious, very professional. And we had a kind of a conversation not too long ago too, when I kind of shared the story of I want to share kind of like who I am as a person, not just who I am professionally. And a lot of it was also our background and where we come from. We're both Latinas, come through very tough, loving, but, not the
upbringing.
Yeah, not the simplest, easiest upbringing. Not to mention I'm gay too. Just a little bit.
So we're bringing a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of rainbows. And so just for me to, and I think the first day we met, I mentioned to you wanting to have a safe space, creating a safe community, or a community for people in the LGBTQ plus realm to feel safe, feel like, hey, I can go out there and make money. I can, but I can still be myself. I don't have to fit in a box that corporate or society puts us in, because I sure don't fit in there, but I'm still me, and you can still make money. You can still help other people. And so creating a safe space for that kind of prompted the podcast to start there. And that's just the beginning. And our plan is to really bring on people, not just have us speak, but bring on guests to really talk about their experience, being queer, gay, however you identify as, but are also running successful businesses, and what that's like. What has their experience been like? And the hopes is to share this knowledge, but also create opportunities out of it.
Yeah, and inspire other people. I think, as you mentioned when we first met, one of the first things I liked about Gladia was that we had so many things in common. We both are very ambitious. We love the podcasting. We're very passionate about what we do. But even in my own personal podcast, it's very surface level. I have to act a certain way or, be a certain way, kind of stay away or steer away from certain topics, right? Anything to do with vulnerability, personal. I keep it very real estate focused. And so the purpose of this one came about because we're both going through our own journeys together. And for me, coming out, and which we're going to talk about in some of the other episodes, has been a game changer in my personal life and business. And we want to, everything that happens in your personal life reflects and shows in business and how you act and how you move in your business life, right? So being part of like the queer community now. We want to advocate and kind of share our journey in hopes that we inspire others while at the same time build our own community, right? So the purpose of the podcast and the intention behind it too is so that we build relationships with other people who are kind of going through our same similar journey and kind of want to just tag along. We're going to show you guys a lot of investment hacks within the community. We're also going to share our vulnerable hacks, and how we pivot and how we support one another in this journey, because it's not an easy one. It's already tough being Latina in a male dominant sport and what we do for business. It's already tough being on top of that gay in the business world and what we do. And so I think just highlighting a lot of the stuff that most people don't want to talk about is another reason why we wanted to throw the podcast out there and really just be vulnerable. And you guys will get to know a different Gladia from Get the Bag podcast, and then a different Steph from Steph's podcast, right? This is a different journey, and we're just super excited to kind of showcase with you guys. And again, bring different people. And I have a lot of dope guests that, you guys are going to get to meet and, just kind of build from there.
Yeah, just a really intimate space. And I think we took the investment too, and like coming out, like having like a real studio. I mean, for the most part, podcasts are done from StreamYard, from our room, very virtual. But there's a whole nother level in doing it like face to face, in person, and real studio. I feel like that really builds a synergy. Maybe we can talk about what came about the name and how many directions.
Yeah, how did we come up with the name? Because we had different thoughts, right, about the name.
We asked ChatGPT first.
We did.
Honestly, I couldn't even think, because it's like, what are we going to call it? Because it's like, we don't want to sound too business. We don't want to sound too real estate-y. Like, what are we trying to create? And I think dope is like your word. I was like telling when we met, I'm like, dope is like, you say dope for a lot of things. And you're really dope too. But, I think synergy is also a word that's kind of thrown around too. But I really just kind of spreading that positivity, not just with the people that we're interviewing or having a conversation with, but also across the audience that are watching, and really want people to feel that. And I feel like when you're in a room with, two other people or however many, like you really feel that, like a really intimate, like we want to feel like you're here with us.
Right. Exactly. And with that, I mean, aside from like setting the tone for what you guys are going to hear on these podcast episodes, we also wanted to share just a little bit of backstory on both of us. I think it'd be nice for you guys to know, especially for the ones who don't listen to our podcast.
But you should subscribe.
But you should. Yeah, you should check out our podcast. So I can kind of kick off a little bit and share my journey. Gladia and I met about a year ago. We at a real estate event, and we decided to move from LA to Miami, which is where we're at now. And it's been quite a journey, a lot of growth, a lot of support from one another. But prior to meeting her, I was in real estate. I've been in real estate for over 10 years, doing the podcast, doing a lot of meetups, doing a lot of networking events, but nothing like what we're doing now, right? So I think it's really cool to see the journey that we're bringing on. Not to mention, I'm also a mom, so I have a 10-year-old son. We really want to cultivate a community where it's safe for women who are gay and have kids to be able to also showcase that and share that with other people. It's very taboo. It's, not something that's talked about.
Especially in I feel like it can go across.
Yeah, especially in our culture too. I'm also Mexican, so I grew up with Latino parents, and we're going to talk about the family dynamics as well. But that's just a little bit about what I do on the business side, a little bit of my background. I really enjoy surfing, so we'll have a lot of people who do surfing and business and real estate. And that's kind of like the topics of discussion that we'll have throughout the podcast, right? Is just family vibes, real estate vibes, being vulnerable, keeping it real, and attracting like-minded people. So I'm very big on spirituality, and I feel that whatever I project and whoever I want to attract, I will attract in simply being who I am. So many of you guys who watch this podcast, maybe something I say will resonate with you, and there will be some form of connection between us, because we do it all the time, right? We listen to podcasts, like you shared the Ed Milet this morning.
I did.
And it's because through podcasting, it's like music almost. You can resonate with something that someone said, or, you know, their tonality, their personality shows through the camera. And so, yeah, that's part of the like the long-term goal of doing this podcast, is not just to sit up here and like talk about us and what we're going to do and who we're going to help, but really impact and live with purpose and help others by sharing our story, because it's not about us, it's about what we're building for others. And so,
yeah, we're just kind of creating a platform
right,
for people to join the
and I think the more
train.
people see women like you and I, they'll be empowered to do the same in business and in personal, because you know, maybe a lot of the struggles that we're going through right now, you guys have no idea about, but in us sharing it, it may open up your mindset to think, damn, well, if they're going through XYZ, I can definitely push through whatever it is that I'm going through and still excel and succeed and, you know, do more than what you think you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that we met, you know, a year ago. For those who know, we're together, by the way. No, it's just, but yeah, meeting a year ago, it's just crazy how you really can like transform your life. And I really feel like we've transformed each other's lives. Like we've been such a huge impact in each other's paths to that led us here. So I'm always like, you know, really grateful. Yeah, for you and like everything, like where we're heading, and I'm just really excited too. But I guess a little bit about me. I'm from California. I'm from the Bay Area, represent. Born and raised. I was also raised in a Hispanic household. I'm Peruvian and Mexican. So imagine just kind of growing up tomboyish at a very young age. I knew I was gay. Let's just say that. And I was always different. You know, very early on in my years, I was the brown kid in a room full of white kids. So I always stood out in some way. And I kind of carried that. You know, I think we're also going to talk about trauma a little bit too. Definitely went through a lot of trauma, like through my childhood. But I feel like in some ways, you know, you kind of learn to just get through it. But I like how Alex Hormozi kind of states, where it's like, instead of wording it trauma, you're kind of adding power to it. You just went through stuff that was really shitty, really sucky. But everyone at some point has gone through something shitty. It's about how you overcome it. And I definitely overcame a lot of things. I was big into sports. I feel like to this day, like sports, like saved my life in some ways. I was a huge basketball fanatic. So I played basketball through college. And then, you know, got into nonprofit work. So a lot of like my community base and like helping others, volunteering came from working for nonprofits. I worked with kids for a long time. I wanted to be a teacher and do all these things. I wanted to change the world in that sense. And then I found out what the salary was, and I was like, nah, I can't. I can't do it. But it was a journey, and I learned so much. And I feel like it built a character in me that I'm using now in real estate. And then I transitioned to tech. So that's something I was doing for the longest time, even when I met Stephanie. So I'm also in real estate, specifically on the wholesaling side. And we can probably do another video or episode on like what wholesaling is. But I had my own business, but I was doing it on the side. And, you know, working a 9-to-5 and also running a business is its own challenge alone. So kind of meeting you, which there was a lot of things happening in my life at that time too. I was going through a divorce. You know, just a lot of changes happened. And then it's just how life is. It just kind of knocks you out and you just learn to pick yourself up. So, you know, push comes to shove, moved to Florida, and here we are. So we're going to, you know, talk a lot about our paths and the challenges. And like you said, you know, every day we're all going through something. And a lot of times, like when you share it, a lot of people resonate because it's like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, how many conversations that we had like that, especially in our accountability group, and like just anyone, like anytime you're sharing it, it always resonates with someone. Like, dang, I didn't know. Oh, you're going through that too, because when we kind of put ourselves in like a cave, we're kind of closing out from support from others, and so we think we're all alone, like nobody else is going through it except for ourselves. So I think in a way this podcast is for a lot of those people who maybe are in caves or in just feeling stuck, and maybe they're they're queer or anything, and they just don't know what direction to go. They don't feel comfortable climbing up the corporate ladder. They don't feel like they stand out, or that
or they
fit in.
Too much.
They stand out too much, or they don't fit in. I still feel like that. I mean, being in real estate, we're moving up and like trying to get into multifamily and development. And there we're talking about old money,
right?
Like old white people, like, what I mean? And it's just, there's not people that look like us. Right. And that was also the other thing of why I wanted to create something like this, is because there's not somebody always feels like if you're in a section where it's just, you don't feel like you can be yourself, where you feel like you have to refrain from being who you are. You can't just be you because you'll be judged, or you'll be fired, or you'll be whatever the case may be. There's crazy stories out there. It's lonely. It
also
isolating.
Limits you too. I mean,
we already have mindset too.
We already have limited beliefs as it is, right? So being that you isolate yourself, you really have no sense of purpose, direction, motivation, inspiration, because you think all of this is just happening to you. But there's so many gay couples out there, right? And there's so many people that are probably going through your shoes. Maybe you're not gay, maybe you're just going through a tough time, but whatever it is that you're going through, I can guarantee that somebody else is going through it. But in you not speaking about it or asking for help, and help sometimes is just talking about it. Like the podcast, I think for myself too, in some selfish ways, it's going to be very therapeutic, because I'm going to be able to purge everything that I've been holding on to for so long, because I've been programmed to act a certain way or say certain things and just kind of stay in a box. And so I was telling Gladia, there's going to be a lot of freedom in this podcast, because I'm just going to speak my mind, keep it real, talk about struggles and how we are pivoting through those struggles as we speak. Like, we're not perfect, and our life
we're not the finished product.
We're never the finished product. And so I think it's also just being comfortable to work through chaos, the personal side and on the business side, and just, have a sense of community. So, that's kind of what inspired the podcast to come to life, and I'm really excited to see it come through with the first one. So other than that, I mean, was there anything else that you wanted to share with intention, setting the tone, our backstory?
No, it's gonna be laid back, chill, like we talked about. We want to hear from you guys too. I think one thing we found out too is especially in the industry we're in, real estate, we're like, how many, like, there's not very many,
right?
But maybe there are, but we just don't know, because either they keep quiet for whatever reason. Like once you make a certain amount, you're just like, I want to disappear. So it could be that.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is like, because everyone's starting a podcast, I feel like, right? Because they want to share their story. Sometimes I'm like, nobody needs to hear you talk. Like, like everyone, and it's like, we wanted to be intentional, speaking of that, it's like, we're not just starting it just to, get followers or.
Yeah. We're not throwing out episodes every week like I was when I first started my business one, right? I was just like, whoever can come on. With this one, we're being super intentional. I mean, we're at a really dope studio. We wanted to set the tone for the first one. We're also having strategic people come on, people who align with what we're ready to share, and them also keeping it real and having some form of impact. For me, it's the impact on who I can connect with through the lens, right? Or through the audio, and kind of develop a relationship to where then we can create a business opportunity. Yep. And like, we can all show you guys, we're going to be showing you guys investment hacks. But a lot of that connection is going to come from you guys getting to know us. And I'm sure through that journey, you guys will resonate with something and then want to come and work with us. Right. And then hopefully we end up doing business together, and now we all elevate. And especially a lot with the families, like the gay moms who have kids. I will be talking to you guys a lot too, because we have a 10-year-old who we're homeschooling, and that's a journey and it's on its own. So yeah, I mean, it's just setting the tone for that. And then eventually we've talked about, like, we practice envisioning a lot. So we envisioned this happening, right? And so where we see it going is eventually being able to travel to different places and interview really dope, like, couples, right? And it doesn't always necessarily have to be couples, but just people in our industry or in our space, right, who are also gay. And we want to highlight that these people are normal people. Like,
right.
we are the same. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to share.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. Shout out to Podcast HQ for the dope space.
Yes.
Really excited for this. But you'll be seeing more of us. We want to hear from you. Like we said, like, any questions or anything, any topics that you want to talk about. And if you want to reach out to us, you know how to reach us on our IGs. We'll provide all of that. But until next time, I hope you guys have a dope day. See you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. And I did want to also just kind of share and put it out there. If you guys are having thoughts of maybe tapping into real estate, it's been under your radar, you've been having thoughts about it. We are having a couple webinars this month. On the 12th, I'm having a webinar with the Women's Mastermind in Real Estate, where I'm going to be sharing a lot of my expertise in real estate /ADUs. We're also hosting one together on the 13th, which is also virtual, so it's free. It's a great way to empower women who are listening to this that may want to tap into real estate, and you just want to kind of be a fly on the wall, learn
what we do.
Yeah, and learn more about what we do on the business aspect, which again, it all intertwines with personal too. So that's happening on the 13th. And then we have some other meetups that we'll be sharing. But yeah, definitely check out our own individual podcast, so you get to see the professional side. And then we'll definitely see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.